It's recording, yay.
All right. Hi, everyone. So happy to see you today. Feel free to say hi in the chat box. I believe we have people from Italy, UK, Texas, San Francisco, and the West Coast. So it's we're just so excited for you to be here. I'm Susu. I'm the founder of Tomo 360. We're a food service marketing agency that helps businesses with and nonprofits and government agencies with their online marketing efforts. We are based just north of Boston, Massachusetts, and you know, we're just so super excited to have my friend Julia Campbell, who's also my colleague, to be here with us today, and she's going to introduce herself when it's time for a presentation. Just before we start, we're going to put you on mute. And if you have any questions, just put it on the chat box. And either Julia or me, or I will answer the questions during the presentation. So let's get started. There's been a huge shift in social media since you know, the pandemic started. As you know, that we're all locked down still, and the pandemic has really just decimated our lives. And most of us, since most of us are stuck at home, we're like just in front of computers or our cell phones. So as a result, a lot of us are consuming a lot more information online, especially on social media. And the second thing is YouTube has always been very popular. And with TikTok, TikTok has gained a lot of traction since last year. And they average like 70 million downloads. So it's a big number. So I think that with those popularity of video, and it really forces people to really change their strategy from being content-based to video-based. And then the fourth thing is because people really can't see each other now, right? They want to be connected. So they're using social media, they're using Zoom calls or text to stay connected. So I'm going to talk about 5 trends on what I see for social media strategy for this year. And Julia is going to talk about how we're going to implement that. So the 5 trends I'm going to talk about is user-generated content, the popularity of Instagram Reels, which is pretty new, video, virtual events, and live stream. And then I forgot one thing is that if you can tweet out hashtag 2021 SM trends during the presentation, it would be great. And the other thing is we're also going to send out the slide deck and the recording to you all. So you don't have to write a lot of notes. So the first trend is really talking about user-generated content. And what do I mean by that is like really any content that are generated by your followers and your fans, from text to reviews, videos, images that are created by your followers. And that's what I meant by user-generated content. What are the benefits of UGC, right? I'm sure you all, gone on search and looking for a product. And you always, what do? You go and look at the reviews, right? Somehow it's more trustworthy if it's coming from other people, right? Versus the company or the nonprofit themselves. So because of that, a lot of the businesses and nonprofits are really creating UGC campaign to really promote that authentic experience and really helps to boost the credibility. In fact, 81% of the decision-making are from peer influence or word of mouth. So this is huge, right? I'm sure that you've been to, you've got like birthday fundraisers, right? Where, your friends say, hey, instead of giving me a gift, let's make a donation to a nonprofit of my choice, right? Those decisions really, having the users to kind of drive that decision will help you to, achieve your goals. And they're going to be raving about you. And even though maybe they don't know about your nonprofit, but they're going to know it through their friends. So here's an example, Design for Change US. I don't know if you heard of them, but it's a global nonprofit that really empowers students, educators, and parents on using empathy to promote social justice. They're a great organization. So they created this UGC campaign and partner with Hasbro, a toy company. So for every act of kindness they share, using the hashtag Do Good From Home, Hasbro is gonna donate a toy or a gift to kids and organizations who are affected by COVID-19. So in this picture is this kid from Texas is sending out, donating arts and crafts supplies to the children at Ronald's McDonald's house. And then, so that's campaign is still going on. It's very successful. They have different variation of that, but they're totally using this campaign to promote act of kindness. So you would think, well, how do we start? I mean, this is kind of lofty, right? Lofty. I think everything starts from what are your goals? Right? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to fundraise? Do you want to build awareness of your organization? And then decide, what kind of social media platforms or channels your followers are there, right? Where do they hang out? You want to create a strategy that's really target to those followers. Maybe they're on Instagram, maybe they're on Facebook, right? Each strategy should be a little bit different. Then you need to come up with a unique and easy to remember hashtag, right? Something that's a little unique. And then you want to post it to make sure that people are using that hashtag and tag you. How do you start the campaign, right? Think about what you want to ask. For the Hasbro and the Design for Change US was like, okay, you send us a picture of the act of kindness, share it. And then we're going to do this, right? So, something very specific, something that really spark emotions, right? It's all about like making people feel good about doing something for you, right? And then, get into the topics that your followers will be interested in and easy to do and make it fun. So those are some of the things that will help you to run a successful UGC campaign. So the next trend is Instagram Reel. Instagram Reel has been, it just started in August. It's relatively new, and it's really coming into a lot of, it's getting popular now. What it is a 3 to 15 seconds video that you can edit, you can dub it, and you can add different effects to to it, and then you can share it in your news feeds of Instagram or stories. It's a really good way for you to really be fun and kind of engage with your followers. The Instagram Reel is really the answer to TikTok because TikTok has been so popular, and that's the answer that Instagram is trying to get more engagement. And if you're an early adopter, you can get a lot more traction now versus something that's really trending a lot, and then before you know it, they're going to move to another trend. So you want to get into the into the action now. So Instagram Reels, so what are some of the benefits, right? It really plays into the fun side of your organization. Some of the things that you could do is you can have, FAQs or how-to videos. I mean, how many of you have watched a video on how to cook something, right? You found a recipe and you follow the video. You do want to use Reels music and audio tools because you don't want to infringe on copyrights of the music. And another thing is behind the scenes, to talk about who's behind the scenes, right? Who are the people, who is your team? Those are the things that always get people to be interested in, what's going on with the organization. It puts a personal touch. And then if you want to make sure that people are not missing out, the fear of missing out, right? So you want to encourage your followers to share them to their friends. So then they're like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I want to get into the action. So the third trend is videos. I mean, videos have been very popular, the last couple of years, and I think it will continue to grow, because we're all stuck at home, we're watching videos, so we're not really consuming as much text and content. So people are looking to social media to watch video. In fact, that a lot of people are spending 100 minutes per day versus 84 minutes last year. It is definitely something that the advertiser are using, spending their budget on. It's on the video. Just Facebook alone, they consume 8 billion videos daily. So I think that this trend is going to continue to grow. Here's a story. Have you heard of Nathan Aplicado? Well, here's the story. So Nathan's car battery broke, died. So he has to use his longboard to go to work. So his work is a potato warehouse in Idaho. So while he was longboarding to work, he decided to do a TikTok video while chugging down the Ocean Spray cranberry juice. And while he was doing it, he was listening to the tune by Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, Dreams. Apparently is the #1 hit in 1977. Well, Nathan did this and it got so popular that it has 19 million views and 37 million likes. So that was a big viral, right? It just totally went viral. And then next thing was Big Mac, Mick Fleetwood decided to do a video tracking down cranberry juice. And then Ocean Spray themselves, Ocean Spray also did another video, and they did the Dreams Dogface 208 Drinking Juice Challenge skateboarding. So Nathan has got a lot of visibility from doing this. He was able to buy a house, got a new car, and now he's doing videos for other companies. So it's just something so simple, and it becomes so viral. So that was a great story. So in terms of video marketing, some of the trends and some tips that I want to talk about. Interactive video is getting very popular, interactive video with hotspots. What I mean is that when people come see the video, you have clicks and links that can go to another page. These are very popular with like travel sites, shopping, e-commerce. It's kind of show and tell, right? And the idea is to have more people stay on your video and continue to look at other things. So more personal video interactions will be, like Zoom with chats, like what we're doing today, followed by, maybe personal interaction with them, like follow up. So I think those things are continue to grow. It's not like one way, but it's more like, two ways. So less production is like you really make the video agile. You want to make it adaptable, is quick, right? But there's also another trend that there's longer format video. meaning a longer video that will be, you know, like 8 to 10 minutes. And those really require, you know, you to be in higher production so that people will stay to keep on watching, right? And then next thing is education and training is always great to have videos. You know, just think about when people come in, they rather watch a video than looking at a blog or text. We talked about interactive video. It's really, those are kind of like virtual reality or a game with links and websites. So then you can continue to keep watching it. 360-degree video would be something that you can easily use from your iPhone, from your phone or GoPro, and you stitch it together to really see the, you know, the 360-degree. Or it could be a drone video. Those are very popular. And don't forget to put search the keywords and searchable terms on your video because then people can find you. That would be on YouTube and also TikTok, right? So those are some of the tips. I'm sure there are other ones as well, but you know, this is a good start. So the fourth trend is on virtual events, like what we're doing now, right? With the pandemic, you know, it's not slowing down anytime soon. It's unfortunate. I think that, you know, businesses, nonprofits, you know, anybody, you know, will continue to do virtual events well into 2021. So last year, one of our clients, Megan's House, we decided to do a virtual golf tournament for them. They were going to cancel it, but we say, well, why don't we just do that? And the idea was to have people send in their golf pictures for 2 weeks and tag themselves, and then you know, to compete for prizes. So that was a good opportunity to really get the organization to continue to do fundraising, even though that they had to cancel the annual golf tournament. And then the last thing is delivering engaging virtual events, right? It's in reality, it saves a lot of organizations the cost of renting a venue and, you know, hiring people and stuff like that. So you know, it has its benefits, even though that we really miss in-person events. There are platforms that you can use to organize virtual events. So you know, those platforms will help you to make it easier to organize virtual events. And then the last but not least is live streams. It's really going to be very popular. The live stream is a really good way for you to connect with your followers and your customers in a more personal way, because it's impromptu, it's genuine, and you know, it's not always perfect. And I think people you know, understand. So on Facebook, live streams have really spiked 50%, you know, from before, because as I said, everybody is in front of a computer. So, and TikTok also was shot up a lot in 2020. So I think we'll see a good chance that, you know, live streams will continue to, you know, be popular. And, you know, 80% of the audience would rather watch a live stream than reading, you know, blogs or content. You know, catching eyeballs, we talked about it, and you can keep it simple. And the best thing about live stream is that you announced it, and even though you only have like 5 people on your live stream, you can always record it on your social media, and it's going to stay there. So I'm going to let Julia to talk about how we implement this. But I just want to let you know that we have a masterclass on how to set your goals, your marketing goals in 2021. So save the date on February 11th. Julie, I'm going to turn to you. I'm going to stop the share.
All right. Thank you. That was fantastic. That was great. I haven't used Instagram Reels yet. I mean, I've watched them, but I haven't used them yet. But everything else, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on. So thank you. That was amazing. We had some questions about virtual events. I could probably answer those at the end. But Susu, I don't know if you have worked with some virtual event platforms. I do not know free virtual event platforms that are good.
No,
I don't know any other than Facebook Live, or maybe YouTube Live. But there are, I've been on so many virtual events. I was just looking through. I don't know if anyone else has had any luck. What'd you say?
Camtasia is one of them.
Camtasia? Is that for live events?
Yeah. I'm sorry, for virtual.
Let me see. Oh, Lend, LENND.com. That's one that I've heard of. Hova, WHOVA. That's a great one. Like where you can see each other. I would say, you know what? I have a whole list of platforms that I have somewhere in my Google Drive that I meant to look into. I know there is a platform where you can do breakout rooms easier and you can do more interaction. I just don't remember the name of it, but if you want to email me, this is an open invitation to anyone. Email me and say, hey, Julia, I remember you were rambling about virtual event platforms. And I'll send you what I know. I have a Google Doc somewhere where I list out suggestions that people have given me. AirMeet is good too. That's awesome. And we have a question. What platform would you suggest for an ad campaign for a media company? Well, I would suggest talking to Tomo 360, because that's what they do. I wouldn't run your ads yourself. Facebook ads are next to impossible to run in an effective way. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think there are platforms other than Facebook Business Manager.
Facebook Ads Manager.
Yeah.
Google Ads, right? You can do retargeting ads. If somebody comes to your website, you can retarget back.
Ooh, Eventive is another one. I'm going to have to get access to this chat because I want to look up all of these.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to have a complete database. I think that the challenge is that a lot of these are not very affordable for small nonprofits. So if you do want to do something, I mean, honestly, Zoom, Google Hangouts, those are probably, and also what I found is that people know Zoom. They're familiar with Zoom. Most people, they are pretty comfortable with the technology, Zoom, Google Meet, or like Microsoft Teams. And you don't want to throw something brand new at people if you don't have to, All right. So let me share my screen now. And I've got a lot of slides, but I want to make sure that we get time for questions. So we'll just get started here. So now I'm going to take sort of what I wanted to do here was take everything that Susu talked about and make it more make it actionable. Like, how can you incorporate this into your digital strategy? All of these great trends, figure out which ones are going to work for you. If you don't know me, then it's very nice to meet you. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I am a mom of 2 kids, accidental homeschooler. Actually, I saw the school just called. Of course, they only call when I'm on a webinar. My kids only go to school in person 2 days a week now. So I just texted my husband. So hopefully everything's fine. I've written 2 books. I come from the nonprofit world and cut my teeth as a development and marketing director. Worked for small shops, worked for larger shops, and everywhere in between. So if you want to tweet along with us, it's Julia C Social, and the hashtag is 2021 SM trends. So I won't talk too much about statistics, but what we do know is that in light of the pandemic, social media use has it hasn't really skyrocketed to the rates that we saw in, say, March and April and May, but it's been keeping pretty consistent. And certain platforms are growing, certain platforms are stagnating, but people are spending slightly more time on social media, and that translates across generations. So what I don't want you to say is, oh, none of my audience is going to be on social media because they're older, because that's not true. So baby boomers are, in fact, the fastest growing segment and demographic on social media channels. And we know that younger kids and younger people are using social media, but they're probably just not using the channels that maybe we use every single day. What I think has been the most interesting to study this year is the changing behavior. So it used to be that we would go on social media to connect with friends, stay in touch with friends, but now a lot of people are using it to search for things that they either want to buy, or search for things that they care about, or read the news, or follow celebrities, or network. So there's a lot of discovery on the platforms, where previously the platforms were primarily used to connect with people that you already know. So I think the opportunities for nonprofits, for brands, are huge right now, because people are using them to search. They're using them for discovery, to find new things. Does social media matter for nonprofits? Yes, we know this, but sometimes it bears repeating. The 2020 Global Technology Report was just released. So you can go to this link when you get the slides, or you can just Google Global NGO Technology Report, and it's going to give you benchmarks for how nonprofits are using social media. And what I find interesting, of course, is the trends. I like to really analyze what matters. And I find that more people are saying that they use social media to show support for a cause, whether that be a birthday fundraiser, or whether that just be tweeting something out about a cause that they believe in. So I also believe that nonprofits especially have a unique responsibility to share content that is authentic, that is true. We have a moral obligation to engage with our communities, because the trust in institutions, trust in brands, trust in government is at an all-time low. So as change makers, as social change agents, as people that are trying to make the world a better place, I think that we actually have an obligation to share about our work on the most channels possible. So my 3-part social media marketing framework, kind of quick and dirty for you. This I detail in my book that came out last year about mobilizing communities, but I'll just run through the framework today. So the very first phase is to clarify where you're trying to go, because you can't figure out who you need to get on board. You can't figure out the tactics, the tools, the strategies until you know your GPS, your destination. The second piece is captivate, which is creating your content strategy that's intentional and that's strategic. And cultivate, that's really committing to showing up for your audience, committing to posting, committing to consistencies. There's a lot of C's here: cultivate, commit, cadence, calendar, consistency, a lot of C's. So the very first step is to clarify. And we've all been in this meeting. I love to share this, probably my favorite marketing cartoon from Marketoonist, where you go to this meeting and you say, we're going to get on Facebook. Well, what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. But getting on Facebook is not the reason, or getting on Instagram Reels, or doing live video. Those are tactics and tools. You definitely want to explore them, because you want to stay relevant, and you want to stay timely, and you want to commit to showing up for your audience. But you want to make sure that you've defined your goal before you kind of jump in a new pond. So what does success look like? What do you hope to achieve? What would you do if you couldn't fail? And then, really, what do you want people to do? So for every webinar that I give, every training, every workshop, every course, there's a different goal. A lot of you will have the goal, yes, we want more donations, but how can social media marketing help you attract the right audience? Maybe it's raising awareness or increasing visibility, getting you in front of the right people, building your thought leadership. So there's a lot of different ways other than simply driving donations that social media marketing can help you accomplish your goals. And some of you might be advocacy organizations. Some of you might want to run a public awareness campaign, and the goal might not be at the end to get a donation, but it might just be building an audience that's engaged that you can then cultivate and ask for donations at a later date. But I encourage you to think deeper than the tools, because they're not goals. And at the end of the day, if your YouTube views are way up, but your goal is to double your cat adoption numbers, then we have to see where the disconnect is. And we have to start really connecting the dots and figuring out, well, maybe there's something we're doing wrong on YouTube, or maybe it's not the right channel. So that's just an example. The second step in this first phase is to identify your target audience. This is the one that trips up a lot of people. You have to know who you're talking to, or who you want to attract. So what do they value? What do they want to know more about? What motivates them? What drives them to participate? So really do a lot of market research and calling people, talking to people, studying them. There are Instagram polls and Facebook polls, email surveys. There's all sorts of ways that you can study who's currently in your audience and figure out how you can get more of those same people into your audience. And one example that I have, I want to give you the example of how PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, how they talk to their audience, and then how Best Friends Animal Society talks to their audience. And they have very similar goals. So PETA understands that the people that are drawn to them want to see. Now, I can't even go on PETA's Facebook page half the time because it's very graphic. It's very provocative. It's rage-inducing, some of the videos and photos they share. But that is what inspires and drives and motivates their audience. It's not for everybody, but it does inspire and motivate their particular audience. Now, Best Friends Animal Society takes a completely different tact, and they share success stories. They never share stories or photos of abused animals, animals in cages, sick and really injured animals. What they do is they just take a different tactic. They want to inspire and enlighten and educate. And I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm just saying you need to figure out what is your voice and what is really going to grab the attention and attract the right audience to you. And this might take some testing. This might take some experimentation, but both of these organizations, they're a little bit on the extreme end, but they both know exactly who they're talking to and exactly what their audience wants to see from them. And that takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. So take some time this year to really try to figure out what your audience wants to see and how to talk to them. And then where are the knowledge gaps that you can fill for them? Because on social media, we do want to be educated. We don't want to be preached to necessarily. We don't want to be patronized and told that we're stupid, but we do want to be educated. And if they're interested in your cause, if they're interested in your issue and the problem that you're solving, where are the knowledge gaps that they have? A great example is one of my favorite video campaigns called Dear Future Mom. This is an organization in Italy. And actually, if you Google the video, you watch the video, it's in English. They translated it, but it's an organization in Italy. And they work with families that have children that have Down syndrome. And they work with teens and young adults who have Down syndrome. So they got a letter, they get letters all the time from parents asking them questions. How can I possibly do this? Is my child going to have a normal life? That's probably the question they get the most. So they made a series of videos around answering these questions from all different perspectives, all different people. And it's really amazing to see because it answers that question. Not only does it accomplish their mission, but it attracts a whole new group of people that might not have known, that might be interested in advocating for people with Down syndrome, that might be interested in the work that they do. And it attracted a whole new group of people on YouTube. This is Amira Incorporated, and they go live on Facebook all the time. As you can see, they don't have a production studio. They don't pay $10,000 every time they make a video and go live. Often it is their executive director, especially now when they're not in the office. It's their executive director on her phone, just answering a question that came in, or addressing a story in the news, or sharing a milestone, sharing a happy, inspiring impact story, something that happened in the shelter that day as a result of their work. So I really encourage you, first of all, listen to your audience and listen to the questions they're asking, but also figure out, what do you want to be known for? And what are you known for? And then play that up in your social media content. The next piece is choosing the platforms. So this is a question I get all the time. Where should I be? What should I be doing? Well, I don't know, because I don't know what your goals are and I don't know who your audience is. If your goal is to run a suicide prevention campaign for teens, then you probably need to be on TikTok and Snapchat, right? If your goal is to reach older adults with your educational trips that you want to sell, then maybe Facebook is the right place for you. So which platforms are going to help you reach your target audience? And what I encourage you to do is not think of social media as this like monolithic thing. Each platform is very specific and has its unique strengths and weaknesses. So it's not enough just to have a social media strategy. If you decide to be on more than one platform, you have to have an Instagram strategy, a YouTube strategy, a LinkedIn strategy. You don't have to be on all the platforms. I would never say you have to be on all of them, but you do have to have a little mini strategy for each platform you choose, because what works on LinkedIn is not going to work on Snapchat. And you have to know the etiquette, the rules, the hashtags, the audience, all of that kind of stuff. So create a strategy for each platform and you're going to get so much more out of it. The second piece is creating content that is going to attract the right audience and also keep the people that know and love you inside the fold. So if you've ever heard me talk before, you know I love Aristotle's framework for influence and persuasion, which is ethos, pathos, and logos. The only way you can get anyone to take action is by being credible, by giving them a logical reason to participate, especially if you're selling something, if you're trying to get a donation, and having that emotional hook. Those are the 3 buckets of content that you're going to create for your social media. Content that builds your credibility, that shows me that you're worthy of my donation, that you're accessible, you're transparent, you're helpful, you're trustworthy. These are stories of the people that do the work, stories of your executive director, giving helpful and useful information constantly. A mantra that I have is we have to think about how we're showing up when we are not fundraising. Social media is like 90% of what you do when you're not asking anyone for anything. How are you showing up for your audience? The logical rationale, logos, talks about the issue and the problem. This is where you're sharing data, you're sharing statistics, research studies, case studies. What is the problem you're solving? Convince me that this problem is important and convince me that your solution is actually making strides and moving the needle on it. Analogies, authorities. This is where you can cite news studies that back you up, that say, I'm just thinking, because I'm on the school committee now, which I'm very excited about. And of course, I need more to do. But I'm thinking about every time we want to make an argument, or when the community comes to us with an argument, they actually, some of these people that come to me with an argument, they have all things. They have ethos, logos, and pathos. They share a compelling story of their student who is struggling. And then they share research studies that say kids need to be in school 5 days. So think about how you can incorporate all of those things as if you were trying to convince someone about something incredibly personal to you. So we have ETHOS, which builds your credibility. That is showing you walk the walk. We have Logos, which shows that the problem is timely and relevant and urgent. And then we have to have Pathos, because data makes people think, but emotions make them act. We are not thinking creatures. We are feeling creatures that think occasionally. So the emotional appeal, this is where your content needs to resonate at a human and universal level. Now, it's going to be rare that you have a piece of content or a post or a tweet that's going to do all three things. That's rare. You could have a blog post or an email or a video that does all three things. But for our purposes, every Facebook post is not going to do all three things, but there needs to be some kind of combination. Because if you're trying to persuade and influence your audience, these are the three critical pieces to get people to move from passive to passionate. So one of my favorite organizations where I live on the North Shore of Massachusetts, Plumber Home, it's now called Plumber Youth Promise. They're frequently sharing these emotional stories of impact, the kind of questions that my kids will hopefully never have to ask. You know, I never had to ask who will come to my graduation, really trying to put you in the shoes of the children and the youth that they serve. No matter what school looks like this fall, food banks will continue doing what they do best. Kids can't learn on an empty stomach. That is an emotional appeal, but it's also a statement. So if you can make these kinds of statements where when I look at them, I say, yes, I agree. Kids can't learn on an empty stomach. Donate now. That is what works. If you can draw a line in the sand, because not everyone's going to agree with that. You know this more, you know, nonprofits deal with this more than anything else. Not everyone is going to agree with your stance and your mission and your vision and what you do. And that's fine. People are going to scroll on by. People don't even, you know, I can't even get into it, but something like food insecurity shouldn't be inherently controversial, but it probably is. But if you can reach those people when they read that, kids can't learn on an empty stomach. I completely agree. And I want to click donate and I want to stop that because I've seen it and I know that it's true. Another important piece of this, though, is not to rely on just pulling heartstrings because it's potentially unethical. It's also fatigue inducing. This is why donor fatigue happens because people are exhausted of, like the Sarah McLachlan commercial, Arms of the Angels. We're tired of being made to feel guilty and made to feel bad. We really are. So talking about reality and pulling heartstrings constantly are very different. It's a tough line to walk, but share the inspiring stories, share the hope, and just share things that will make me feel very proud to be associated with you, to be a part of your organization, right? Share, it doesn't have to be a success story tied in a bow, but share the mission moments. And I know that we are all trained to think that on social media, it's only the provocative things that make people angry that get clicks, but it's actually been scientifically shown that it's those stories that give us back faith in human nature that get shared more. So stories of hope and inspiration. And also, let's not forget to have fun, right? Let's have fun. Happy Moon Day. Why not celebrate the Moon Day? Do 7 days of gratitude. I've seen advent calendars online, 8 tips for a perfect hike with kids. That's a fantastic way to use Instagram stories. We can't always think about what's the ROI? What's the ROI? What's the return on investment? Am I going to get a link click? Is this going to get a donation? Because building an audience that's sustainable and that will love you in the long term, you just can't think about it that way, right? You have to think about how you're showing up when you're not asking them for money. Creepiest object, that's my favorite hashtag of 2020. Museums obviously struggling for eyeballs and visibility and engagement, and they came up with creepiest object and they all did a contest. Please look that up on Twitter. It's hilarious and super creepy, and it's just a great way to have fun. So a great rule of thumb is 80% interact, educate, inspire, entertain, connect, 20% promote. I would even go to 90-10, but I know we have so much to promote in our lives. And the third piece that I'll go through pretty quickly so we can get to questions is cultivate. So how are you going to be consistent? So you want to create a weekly content calendar, and you want to see where you can repurpose things. So if you do a member spotlight on your blog, or if you have an email campaign that goes out, how can you repurpose it into a Facebook post, into an Instagram post? Maybe take like a 30-second, 1-minute YouTube video talking about it, a LinkedIn post. So think about themes for each day. Think about what's going on. Look at your calendar for the year. Look at cause and awareness days. Where can you pull from that can help you fill out your weekly content calendar? And then repurpose and recycle. This is where a lot of my clients get stuck because they create this great video, but then they don't use it anywhere else but YouTube. No, put it a 10-second clip, make an Instagram reel of it, put it on Facebook, put it in an email. So you can actually embed your Instagram stories on your website. There's all sorts of ways you can repurpose and recycle, so you're not constantly reinventing the wheel and feeling like you're on this content creation hamster wheel. So less is more, focus over frantic. That's your mantra for this year. Some of my favorite tools can all be found on your phone. Canva, of course, for graphics. Now you can actually do videos in Canva. You can actually do social media scheduling inside Canva. They have a new management platform. I haven't used it, but I love everything Canva does. I'm sure it's great. Hootsuite for scheduling. These are just tools that I use. Later.com for Instagram and Instagram stories, scheduling, Animoto and Lumen 5 for video editing and video creation. So if you have any other tools that you really like that enhance your social media content creation, put them in the chat. And what I want to leave you with, I really want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. One is, this is a dark time. I think we're getting into the light. We're seeing the light. It's actually sunny out now. But we're actually seeing some positive things happening. So I know that the temptation is to just go dark and turn your social media off and not speak to your donors and not speak to your supporters. Certainly there are times when you do need to do that. There are times when you need to make sure that your tweets are not going out and things like that. But I would say overall, we need to hear from you. We need your voice and we need your expertise. Your donors cannot be an expert in whatever it is that you are doing, in the problem that you're solving, in the solution that you're providing. And they need to hear from you. And even if you are not, like the majority of us are not COVID-19 facing charities necessarily, we've all been affected by the pandemic. We've all been affected by issues of inequity and racism and social injustice. I would just encourage you not to go dark, to think about your audience and how you can best serve them during this time. Okay, so that's what I have for my presentation. My email is there. Any suggestions, feedback, comments, and yeah, I would love to connect with all of you. So let me see. I will stop sharing and then we can get to some questions.
Thank you,
Julie. Right on
Julie.
time.
Julie, this is great. Your presentation always so thought-provoking and just so insightful.
All right. So Jamie says, can we get the slides? We will get the slides.
Yeah.
Eventry. Okay. We have a lot of people talking about virtual event platforms, which I think is really cool. Oh, and InShot is great for video editing on your phone. That is really cool. And people say this was so helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Okay.
How do you test your audience to find out what drives and inspires them? That's a good one.
Well, they'll tell you. So the challenge is if you're starting from scratch. So if you're not starting from scratch, if you have a little bit of an audience, even if it's email, if it's a Facebook group, if it's Instagram, they'll tell you. I mean, you post something. I just know that on my Instagram, the posts of my kids, of course, light years beyond, get more engagement, more likes. And I don't post that because I want to get, likes for the sake of likes on Instagram, but I know what my audience likes. I think it takes a lot of time and testing, a lot of practicing, and a lot of just, just a lot of really throwing something up that you think they're going to like, and then they don't like it. And then something else you post goes crazy. So keeping track of that, but also asking them. So this is something I have on my list to do this year that I haven't done enough, but I have a Facebook group that is just like pure market research gold, where I see what questions they're asking. I see what people are struggling with, and I see where they're kind of getting tripped up and the challenges that they have. And then I create content around that. But for a nonprofit, I really would look up, Google searches. What are the most used Google searches? What are the most frequently visited pages on your website? What are your most popular posts from Facebook last year, from Instagram? And then what are your most popular fundraising appeals, direct mail appeals, that kind of stuff? Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think, looking at your insights to see, what kind of posts are popular. I think different organizations have different posts that their followers like. Some of our nonprofits, they love, getting in behind the scenes. So anytime that we send out a board member or a team member's post, they always go up. And then we have the house dog, Jack's Spiral, and that always gets, people are looking for fun stuff too.
They are looking for fun and entertaining stuff.
Yeah.
So we had a question from Nurjan. I hope I'm pronouncing that. How can one promote an app? It's an app for parents. I don't know. You really have to have some value if I'm going to download an app on my phone. I swear to you, I digitally decluttered my phone, deleted so many apps. I do not download an app unless it's something I'm going to use every day, or unless it's something that's providing me, like the Target app, where I get discounts or something. So that's a big challenge. I think as long as it's useful and you can show people why it should take some of their most precious real estate, which is really on their phone. I mean, that's just how I feel about I hate when someone wants me to download an app. I'm like, oh, can I just go to your website?
Yeah, I think that having other people use it and share that, that becomes viral maybe.
Okay. Oh, wow. We've got so many questions. James says, thoughts on artificial intelligence. I think that artificial intelligence like Google Home and Alexa are going to become increasingly important for nonprofits. I know you can say, and forgive me if all of you have Alexa on, I know you can say, Alexa, make a donation. I don't know if you can, I haven't tried it on my Google Home. And I know there are Alexa skills, like the Audubon Society has a bird sounds skill. So it has to be value add. But I also think chatbots are important if you do a lot of customer service on your Facebook page or your website. So if you get a lot of questions, say you're having a race or an event, I would set up a chatbot. And I have a chatbot on my website and my online course page, and it emails me. So you don't have to sit and manage the chatbot. You can just manage it via email. But I do think people really are expecting that accessibility and that, the ability to get an answer when they want it. Okay. Well, Cynthia sent me a direct message, so I hope she doesn't mean if I read it, but Would you happen to have tips to how a nonprofit can recruit an intern that could help with social media marketing? Cynthia, I actually have an actual training on this. So I think, I have a blog post on it, but if you email me, Cynthia, I will send you the link to the training and the link to the blog post. Okay. We're just going to keep slogging through. Let's see. What are your thoughts on marketing for health and life insurance agents and agencies? I don't know. I think it's like anything else. You have to think about the benefits and not the features. So what would I lose if I didn't have health or life insurance? Like what might have to scare people a little bit, but then tell a story of what are the benefits of, not the benefits listing them out, but what are the big picture benefits? And how can you help me? Because we all want our families to be safe. We want them to be taken care of. We want to have security. We want to not be waking up in the middle of the night thinking, what if something happens to me? So how can you answer those questions? Let's see. Oh, how much to budget for social media marketing each year for a small nonprofit? That's just really hard to say. I think because small nonprofits, I mean, that could be anything from a 1-person shop to a 10-person, I would even say a 20-person shop's pretty small. I think you need to really get clear on your goals and what you're trying to achieve. I mean, if you're trying to run $100,000 capital campaign and raise half of that on social media, then you probably need a full-time person. But if you're just thinking of maybe setting up an Instagram account and trying to just experiment with a few platforms, you don't need a full-time person. So I don't know. It's really hard. And you probably get asked that question all the time, Susu, like how much should you spend on ads?
Yeah, I think that because a lot of people don't really see your news feeds on Facebook anymore, or, to some degree Instagram. So having, some form of ads once a month, it's going to be good. I mean, you don't have to set up a big budget to do an ad, but it could be boost posts or just like ads like every once in a while, just so that people can see your content.
Exactly. All right. So Melissa says, I know you mentioned not going dark during certain times. I also feel like we don't want to post acting as if nothing is happening and be insensitive to these events. So you have to figure out if you're going to either take a stand on what's happening or just kind of not say anything and then process it. And that's fine. I think I did. I tweeted anyway. I'm very political in my life, as you can tell probably by behind me. I'm not saying that you should be, but I do think that you need to have a policy in place for that kind of stuff. I know that I turned off all my automations. I turned off my marketing stuff. I had an email sent to go out and I, didn't send it. Because I personally just needed time to reflect and figure out what I was going to say. So I don't think you need to post in the moment without thinking about it. And I'm still getting emails this week from organizations that had time to process, that had time to think about it. But I do think you need to, first of all, figure out if it relates to your mission in some way. And if you absolutely do need to take a stand. But then also, really be thoughtful. I would just really be thoughtful about it, because I did see a lot of posts that came off kind of as, I thought, insensitive, but they weren't meant to be, but I just don't think there was thought around them. So I think it's always better to say something than not, but be careful and just really figure out, see what other people are saying. Make sure that you're not using, insensitive terms. I mean, just be really, really, just be thoughtful. And I would have a policy around this. This is going to happen all the time. As we have seen, it's been happening constantly for the last 4 years or so. Should we tweet? Should we not tweet? Should we post? Should we not post? I just, I struggle with it as well. I don't think you have to say the perfect thing. And I also think reaching out to groups, I saw in my Facebook group and some other groups asking, what is everyone doing? Can you share examples? Reaching out to colleagues, reaching out to peers, looking at what else is going on online. What are other organizations doing? What are other nonprofits doing? What are they saying? So it's a delicate line, and every situation is going to be completely different. So I wish I had like a formula for it. But that's actually a good webinar topic. Now that I think about it, I would get some people that actually made a statement and maybe people that didn't, and why they did and why they didn't. But it's tough. Okay. Well, it's 12:32 and I just want to be sensitive for people's time. Lydia, I did want to answer your question. Resources for academic nonprofits. I was going to suggest Donor Guru, but that's fundraising. Well, I think the social media marketing principles still apply. Like, what is your goal? Are you looking to increase enrollments? Are you looking to increase alumni engagement? Are you looking to increase inquiries, applications? Are you just trying to, what is your end game and what does success look like? And how will you measure your success? Is it hits on your website? Is it inquiries to your academic counselors? So then kind of work backwards. What kind of content would attract the people that you want to, because we do want people to take an action. I mean, like, I don't think we're posting on social media just because we like to. Like, we want to encourage and build a community that's inspired to take an action when we want them to, even if it's just click on a blog post. It doesn't have to always be make a donation. Okay. Social media strategy in sensitive times. Story. I think you gave me my title. I'm actually going to write that down. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I think it's absolutely something that we need to do.
That'll be a good one. Yeah. So we're going to be sending out a survey along with the recording and the slide deck. And in the survey, we're going to ask you what kind of topics you would like to see. So we'll definitely take into consideration, right, Julia?
Yes. Awesome. And thank you all. Thanks everyone here. And we gave you our emails. You'll get the slides, you'll get the recording. And yeah, we would love to do these more. So make sure you fill out that survey so we can best figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah. Thank you, Julia. And we have fun.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.